Hi, my name's Jessica Farrell, and I'll be presenting on social media and the coronavirus pandemic. So, just to give a little bit of an introduction, our current existence as human beings has been really bizarre as we continue to battle with the public health crisis that is the coronavirus. The world that we used to know has now dissipated, with the majority of interactions transitioning to online platforms. So now we're battling with this new normal. This change has made social media an important component in our everyday lives, as it's the vehicle for communication, support, and sustaining relationships. Furthermore, various social media platforms have adjusted their features to foster a sense of community, which I'll discuss in a little bit. So, generally speaking, social media has enabled individuals to find their identity in their personal and their professional lives, build social capital, and express opinions or share information. So, during the coronavirus outbreak, this has become a pretty common occurrence that has shaped our behavior as a society. So, as I was doing this research, it was pretty intriguing to analyze how social media has become so interrelated with public health issues, specifically the coronavirus, and how it can pose positive as well as negative effects on individuals worldwide. So, online communities have played a huge role, especially in times where populations feel that disconnect. So, these communities allow individuals to share information, ideas, personal messages, and other content. Giving an example of this, Facebook offers its users opportunities to connect with other individuals who share similar opinions and beliefs. Furthermore, the usage of coronavirus hashtags across different platforms has created a togetherness that otherwise would not have been present. So if you look off to the right, I have taken a screenshot of Instagram of the various hashtags that people have used throughout this pandemic. So the first one is together at home. Second one that I found was hashtag together, hashtag together apart, hashtag together stronger, hashtag together we can, and hashtag together we are stronger. So the common theme within these hashtags is that although we're separate, we're together because these social media outlets connect us in that way. There is a caveat to this, however, because social media has also been a cesspool of negativity and rebellion. So, with the restrictions being put in place by government officials regarding mask usage and social distancing, many have taken to online groups to express their disgust. So, the common argument amongst protesters, if you look at the photos that I put on the slides, is that these restrictions are infringing upon their God given rights that are outlined in the Constitution. Numerous individuals are claiming that the coronavirus pandemic is also a method of control, so it sparked a revolution online. This, needless to say, has had a massive impact on our cohesion as a nation, since conflicting point of views have resulted in a lot of violence and severed relationships. Specifically speaking, a lot of these protests have become extremely violent, a lot of yelling, and a lot of unnecessary arguing. So it's fair to say that social media has acted as a way for people to assemble. So, transitioning into social media and your professional identity, many aim to have a separation between their personal and professional lives, but oftentimes social media has made that a challenge. But it's not necessarily a bad thing if you maintain a reputable image in your personal social presence. So, because of social media, people's lives end up being on display. with a lot of boundaries becoming blurred. So, being specific, during this public health crisis, these two identities begin to intersect, specifically with doctors, nurses, and other medical personnel who are beginning to open up about their experiences. Typically, doctors or nurses are expected to emotionally detach themselves from the stresses of their job, but now many have taken to social media where they have disclosed their inner feelings regarding the coronavirus. Specifically speaking, posts on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook have circulated where medical professionals are talking about their anxiety, exhaustion, and need for advice from their colleagues. This has caused a movement of sorts where frontline workers are encouraged to share their emotions, whether they work in the medical field or in the service industry. This transparency is a representation of how personal and professional identities coexist, as well as intersect. So, next, I'm going to address collective action and community. So, coronavirus has shown that social media has not only increased the civic engagement of citizens around the world, but have also facilitated greater activism. So, with more people engaging in conversation regarding our current crisis via social media platforms, it's become a catalyst for change. But it's important to note that a major component of collective action, especially during this time, is that we all tend to share commonalities that drive these coalitions. As a nation, there's been collective action through social media, encouraging individuals to stay home, support local businesses, and practice healthy habits. At the core of collective action, though, is the fact that there is a common goal that groups want to reach, with the primary goal being the eradication of the virus and achieving better health worldwide. Shifting gears for a moment, it's been very interesting to see how collective action has been prevalent in higher education, specifically TC&J. So roughly maybe a couple months ago, there was a petition drafted by students at the College of New Jersey, which gained momentum on social media. I specifically saw it on Instagram. The first petition outlined that students wanted the option for a pass or fail for the spring 2020 semester. This actually resulted in a response from administrators where this pass or fail option is now granted for those who may need it. Other institutions of higher learning have seen similar initiatives taken by students, further reiterating the power of social media and collective action. So now it's become rather hard for journalists, marketers, and educators to gain the trust of their audience, and that's because Americans are beginning to not trust the press. So, because of that, it's important to carry yourself in a way that will help you gain the trust of your audience. It's important to understand that as an influencer, every post is put up on display for critique. So, it's important again to have that awareness and level of etiquette because as soon as credibility is built, it can be lost. So, making just a quick general statement, credible leaders should make their followers feel valued, motivated, inspired, supported, and powerful. So, any behavior that results in followers feeling fearful, intimidated, will cause mistrust and anger. So, this has been seen a lot in our mainstream media, as many have said that they can't even watch the news because all it does is evoke fear. So, this, as I said, has caused the general population to dislike the news media, which shows the need for transparent, ethical, and trustworthy influencers. So these influencers can vary from doctors, medical professionals, and even more so the President of the United States. But focusing on Donald Trump for a second, his social media activity has spurred a lot of controversy, with many critiquing his promptness and accuracy of information, which I will show on this slide here. So, the president has made use of Twitter, where he has sent out many blunt tweets that have not sat well with many Americans. So, this is, in essence, causes credibility and influence to plummet. But, giving both perspectives, some claim that they admire Trump and his approaches to handling the virus. But there are still some issues. There is some concern regarding how new technologies impact the development of social capital, which pretty much is the resources that you access from people in your social network. This can include people that you know, online or offline, be it friends, family, colleagues, or other acquaintances. These relationships are so important because they provide social support, information, and they enable the ability to mobilize for collective action. Putting this into context regarding the coronavirus, building social capital online helps individuals come together in a time of crisis. So, there's multiple ways that people can build social capital online, with again that major component being networking. Networking provides an advantage, especially because it provides you with a supportive collection of people who will advocate for you in times like this. This becomes really important when you lose your job, which again has become a common occurrence for many Americans. So, further expanding on this concept of networking, it's also important to remain strategic in your efforts. Strategic networking goes beyond socializing and making connections, as it's concerned with creating strong relationships with those who support your career goals. So now more than ever, connecting with the professional community is encouraged because it provides support and a bunch of resources. It's important to know, however, that an individual's social capital can be developed, but not without improving the social capital of others. So it's a reciprocal relationship. So social capital is not an individual commodity, but something that's built and shared with others. So, citizen journalism, just to give an overview, is a collection, dissemination, and analysis of news and information by the general public, especially by means of the internet. So, by citizens engaging in this, it helps bridge the gap in mainstream media, as well as empower and mobilize communities because they're able to tell stories. Also, it's really important that citizen journalism occurs because it provides a tailored approach for these communities, because the mass media cannot necessarily look at specific populations. So that tailored approach definitely helps. The only negative thing here is that between the citizen journalism and the mass media, people begin to not know what to believe. So, citizen science is the collection and analysis of data relating to the natural world by members of the general public, and often it's a relationship between members of the community and scientists. So, again, this just helps fill the gap for scientists and expedite the research process. Um, and studies have been shown that when citizens engage in this science, that it creates more of an environmental awareness. However, it's also important to note that in public health, we often use community-based participatory research, which encompasses the same principles, but a lot of the time public health research must take into consideration cultural components when entering a community. So this form of research can have its complications because public health professionals have to gain insight regarding the community in order to gain their trust. This can be a difficult process, but once a community is engaged with the research process, it can yield some pretty substantial results. So, just to conclude, our world continues to have a level of uncertainty regarding our health and our future, but with advancements in technology, we're remaining strong. Throughout the past 3 months or so, our nation has been divided and has fallen to pieces, but digital technology really acts as the glue to repair our current existence.